been this way, for the last 4 or 5 years, and it's going to be that way for the future. It's just these colleges are spitting out wide receivers every single year, so I don't know that it's abnormally good. I think it's a really solid group.
And what's your thoughts on NFL running back class, and anybody stand out to you?
Yeah, I think it's weird. There's no top heavy. It's not top heavy. I think we could see, I don't think we're going to see one go in the first 50 picks. But I think there's 7 to 8 really interesting guys that are late round 2 all the way through round 3. I think you're going to see a run on those dudes. So the question is, who wants to be first in line? Like, do you want to be the first one on the ride, or you want to try and be the last one on the ride? So the Cowboys picked 56. I don't think they're starting running backs on their roster, so that's where I think that starts.
Have you heard any rumors, though, where, like, say, a guy like Jonathan Brooks is coming off the ACL, where he might be going?
I mean, Dallas is very much in play there. I like Marshawn Lloyd, who's my top running back from SC. But I had Brooks there. I think they're literally one spot away from each other. So those are the top 2 guys for me. And then it just comes down to how early you want to take them.
What are your thoughts on Washington's Jalen McMillan? And do you think he'll be a day 2 pick?
That was higher than I had him, but I know there's some love for him, in talking to teams. So that wouldn't shock me, if he went there. To me, it would be more of a 4th round pick. But look, he wasn't healthy, all year. He's a really good slot player who's got some quickness to him. Again, there's so many wideouts that I think the group could end up punishing themselves because of their depth and kind of slide them down a little bit.
Given your Chargers expertise, what does Keenan Allen bring at this stage of his career?
He still gets open. I mean, every 3rd down, he's a security blanket, and it's hard to kind of explain it, but he presents a great target. Like, he's really good at zone of just presenting a big target, big guy. His spatial awareness is insane. Just like you can tell the basketball background that he has. So I think when you have a young quarterback, you try and bake in as many easy completions as you can, and I think he'll provide those.
Yeah, he put up huge numbers last year and missed the last month of the year.
Yeah, no, he was on his way to the best year of his career. So, look, there's going to be – he's not going to be he's not going to compile a bunch of 20-plus yard catches. He's not really that down-the-field guy. But, man, he's a security blanket on 3rd down, and he gives you also a nice option down there in the red zone. And I think it's just for a young quarterback. I love the idea of pairing the talented young quarterback with veteran guys, and then eventually these young quarterbacks grow up and get paid, and those veteran guys are no longer there, and now they got to help the young guys out. So I think that's where they are.
DJ, I was a 7th round draft pick. Obviously, a lot of emphasis on the day 1 guys, the stars that are out today that will be at the draft tomorrow. I was wondering if you could shine the spotlight on some day 3 guys. Who's like a safe guy that you love and you think will be a great NFL football player?
Man, there's a bunch of interesting dudes on day 3. I've come up with a couple, like, these are late round non-combine flyers that I've watched like over the last couple of weeks that I love. There's a safety from Air Force, Troy Taylor. He's a stud. I love the way he played. I don't think it's a great safety class, so I'm hoping that maybe he goes up a little higher than that. But honestly, I didn't even know who he was until like a couple weeks ago. And then there's a linebacker from Weber, last name Reed, first name not in my head right now. But I put him on like the back end of my list too, like in like 140 somewhere in there. But I think it's cool, man. When you get guys, like once you get there, it's all. Everybody gets their opportunity, you get your shot and go. But those guys played really, really hard, and I think also at that point in the draft too, like core teamers. I'm curious, dude. I'd love to know what you think on like with the rule change. I think you're going to see on special teams.
Yeah,
it's going to be better for the linebackers and the tight ends and those guys.
It's going to change the make or book rosters. I think it's especially with middle of the road, so to speak, NFL guys that are in the middle of their careers. I think it'll kind of price some of those guys out of the NFL, which is unfortunate to see. I'm a defensive lineman.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite defensive lineman in the draft?
For me, favorite defensive lineman in the draft. So I ended up with Dallas Turner as my top guy. Those 3 edge rushers are interesting just because Latu's easily the most polished and
smooth.
He's got a lot of tricks in his bag.
A lot of moves.
A lot of tricks in his bag. So the injury, I kind of factored that in with the neck. Jared Verse comes in clear packaging. I was talking about that with Chris the other day. Like we're just like, I know exactly who he is. Like he's a power rusher. I hope
Fun
he
when
goes.
he's playing with Fisk too. It's fun to see those guys.
Yeah, no
together.
question. Fisk can get up the field.
Right.
I just hope wherever he goes, like I hope they loosen him up a little bit, give him a runway, and let him get after people. But he's fun.
Last question for
Yeah.
you. What's your favorite football podcast besides Move the Sticks?
Oh, golly. It was like, I think it was called like the Red Light Special or something. It was like a light, there was a color.
Yeah,
I can't remember the name of it.
something like that, right?
Yeah, I think it was, what was I think Howie Long. He was on.
Kyle maybe.
No, what? I didn't know. Kyle Long, I'm not familiar with. Yeah.
Appreciate you.
I jumped in late being over there, so I'm sorry if this was already spoke about.
No, you're good.
Maybe you don't know because it was 14 minutes ago. Ian Rappaport tweeted that Amon-Ra St. Brown has a nice little extension with the Lions.
Nice.
When we deliver the
Yeah,
details,
this is news.
4 years, more than $120 million, with 77 guaranteed. So what's your thoughts?
It's money well spent. I mean, some guys make it easy to pay. He's one of those guys, just from the standpoint of the production to go along with the character and the work ethic and all that stuff's off the charts. So he kind of fits the ethos that they've preached. There's some guys where you kind of have to sign him. It's not a great feeling. Then there's ones like this where I'm sure everybody was elated to have this deal done. It works for everybody.
I mean, exactly right there. Elated to hear that. Elated that the draft is here in Detroit, in a city that has been waiting for success with its teams, especially with the Lions. What can you say just from a national perspective, from an outside perspective of just really what the Lions have done the last couple of years?
Yeah, well, first of all, I mean, thanks a lot. Like, the Lions are always picking up at the top of the draft. We finally come here, and now they're a Super Bowl contender, so we have to wait for them to pick at the bottom of the first round. But, no, it's been an incredible turnaround. That's not easy to do. I mean, to nail the quarterback, which when the Matthew trade happened, I know, there's probably a lot of people thinking this is a white flag and Goff is a throw-in in this whole thing. But to have him hit, that accelerated the whole plan. And then to just build up the trenches, more than anything else, build up an identity. You know who you are. It's impressive, and it's not easy to do. Everybody says it. Every coach that's ever been hired comes in and says, we're going to change the culture, blah, 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 blah. They pulled it off.
You hit it right on the head. The draft used to be the Super Bowl for Detroit fans.
I know.
Because, they always had it right up there. Detroit finally gets to host it. They're at the bottom. What do you think Brad Holmes need to focus on for the draft, being really where they are now?
Yeah, well, the other side of it, maybe I should look at it as a good thing, because then all the Detroit fans will stay here for the whole round because they're waiting for their pick. They're in a great spot. I mean, they can just kind of let it come to them, or they can see if there's somebody they have up there, one of their top 10 or so players, and they want to be aggressive and they feel like that's a finishing piece to go get a championship, then they can be aggressive. So I know for a fan's sake, it's fun to have top 5 picks. I know on the team side, it's a lot more fun to be picking where they're picking.
Do you think there's a positional need for the Lions?
I look at corner. This is an offense that's so dynamic. They're going to be playing with leads. So corners and pass rushers, you can't have enough.
Thank you so much. Sorry for the weather.
Oh, no problem. It's good. Ankle socks probably weren't the best call.
Do you have any concerns for Caleb at all, or is it just perfect?
No, there's no perfect player now. There's concerns. I mean, everybody said it. He's got to play on schedule a little more consistently. I've said he can't pass up completions. You can't get bored with that. You can't get bored with 8 and 10-yard gains, especially once you get to the NFL. So you have to dial back the big play hunting a little bit. But I think his defense last year was 121st in the country in scoring. I think the Bears are better than 121st in defense. So he's not going to know what it's like to take the field and not see the other side of the scoreboard with another 7 points on it. So that's going to help him out.
Daniel,
Hey, what's up,
Philadelphia's
dude?
excited.
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you again, and I appreciate you doing the interview.
Yeah.
So do you still think that Howie is getting after a cornerback in this draft?
So, no, I've changed my mind. So I get the right to do that. I know that they're talking like crazy about moving up. So you're trying to put the puzzle pieces together. And when I looked at the teams that they were calling and who they were trying to get ahead of, those teams, I'm like, these are tackle teams. These are not corner teams. And then to me, and it's just theory here, John, not nothing in gospel, but it feels to me like they could go back to the old formula, go with an offensive lineman, go with one that could play right guard as a rookie, and then eventually, when Lane decides to hang it up, that you've got somebody that could take over right tackle.
So you think they go with the traditional, build up the lines?
I do this every year. We flirt with it. We say they're going to take a running back one year. We talk about off-the-ball linebackers. Now we're talking about corners, and then it's like, what is it, Thanos or whatever, and it all comes back to me. And it's just like we're back on offense and defensive linemen.
This is classic. So you're pretty set on that now that you
Yeah.
think they're going tackle.
I don't, can you unair the video that we did last time? Go offensive line.
Isn't that what's fun about this though? It changes like from maybe day to day.
Yeah, and that's what I think is kind of like a little peek behind the curtain is that when people ask, like, how can you say you think this team's going to do that, this team's going to do that? It's like, well, it's not like Howie's telling me what they're doing, but other teams that I talk to tell me who's calling them and who's talking to them and all that kind of jazz. And then I find out on the agent side of things who's doing last-minute homework on players, and I'm like, well, wait a second. There's no chance that guy's going to be there where they pick. So why are they doing all this late homework on this kid? So then that's when you start thinking, okay, they're coming up.